Good morning. A small circular cluster of yellow is connected to a reddish-brown line that branches out into an irregular rosette of olive-green lobed shapes. The green patch, with its yellow highlight, appears unexpectedly on a grey textured ground. A dandelion, growing out of concrete, is a common occurrence in temperate climate cities that they thrive. Emerging out of cracks in urban landscapes, dandelions are usually overlooked. They are sometimes only noticed when they flower, or upon their removal, so as to maintain a presentable upkeep of man-made environments. Dandelion blooms are attractive weeds and sometimes live out their existence because of their short stint and appearance as beautiful flowers. Gardeners know that dandelions have deep tap roots which regenerates, making them a resilient plant that constantly resurfaces. That vast nutritional benefits can be reaped from dandelions is often unknown and surprising. However, botanists and herbalists can attest to their long-standing medical usage in history. When did you last see a dandelion? Where was it? Do you know its yummy jagged leaves, or observe the weights of tissue paper caught within its star-like cluster? How many flowers did it have? Were they full blooms, or tightly pursed buds? Did you attempt to scatter its tiny, furry, airborne seeds? Cultural theorist Ben Highmore states, things become everyday by becoming invisible, unnoticed, part of the furniture. The everyday is akin to ubiquitous wallflowers. As visible but frequently overlooked motifs with hidden significances, dandelions, in their diverse forms, are wallflowers that embody and objectify qualities that are everyday. Wallflowers are present but unobserved things that act as backdrops in our daily lives. Examples include street art, bedding, and the internet connection. Visual wallflowers are tangible forms that go unnoticed and need to be characterized and encountered as strangely extraordinary, or be consciously sought and observed from a watchful distance to discover their hidden existence and meanings. Dutch artist Lili van der Stoker, aged 56, paints wallflowers with underlining connotations inherent to the everyday that are seldom stated, recorded, or visually represented. Nicknamed a non-shouting feminist by critics, she is a painter who makes decorative installations that can be seen as a marriage of fine art, design, and architecture. Her work starts off as notebook-sized pencil sketches that easily pass off as girly teenage doodles. Her paintings incorporate objects and furniture, mimicking familiar environments we spend time in, and visually illustrate human elements behind them. She creates painted landscapes the scale of buildings, as well as smaller abstraction that share the height of people. Her feminine-looking styles and bright color invoke strangeness by collapsing the boundaries of established perceptions in creative and social attitudes. Some of her interventions can be easily missed, but when noticed, are surprising, peculiar, and intimate encounters. We are looking at a wide-angle photo documentation of a van der Stoker wall painting. Studying this image, it is obvious that the tall mural that spans from floor to ceiling and painted in muted tones of blue, greens, browns, and gray is artwork. What is not so clear is what sort of space this is. Is the orangey-brown couch part of the artwork, or is it an existing feature of the place? The couch and the darkened corridor that interrupts the painting makes me wonder if this mural was painted in a designated gallery or a common foyer at the Walker Art Center. Judging from this image found on the internet, if this painted installation were like most artworks existing in public spaces, including office buildings, hospitals, and subways, it would most likely be overlooked or be seen as a decorative feature and not be appreciated for its conceptual motivations. What is amusing about some of van der Stoker's installations, like this one, is that even in an art institution, her work might be easily missed because it's not a hanging painting or sculpture on a pedestal. It is a wallflower. A clue that this is not your typical interior decor is the title and text found at the foot of a polka-dotted dome with a flower head. The painted words read, "Extremely experimental art by older people." When questioned by curator Amy Kellner about her painted installations that share this theme, van der Stoker reveals, "I was trying to make art that looks experimental and from older people, but every time I finish a piece, it was already not looking so experimental anymore because I was getting used to the image." She also claims that innovative art is normally perceived to be the work of young people, and to participate in the art world, there's usually a goal to be modern, even though modernism is no longer a utopic movement. She says one day she will grow old and is fascinated with how the idea of being old-fashioned can be explored in art. Van der Stoker's thoughts on things becoming old-fashioned are similar to how the everyday becomes familiar, accepted, and overlooked. Highmore suggests the antidote to our negligence towards the everyday is a kind of purposefully alienating perspective that refuses to utilize ready-made descriptions. In simpler words, the everyday is identified when it's perceived as strange or is made strange in order to be noticed. Most events and things eventually become familiar and appear natural with time, similar to wallflowers that are ignored. It is when things are amplified or taken out of known context and found in an unfamiliar one that common things attract attention. Highmore discusses the estrangement of things, or making strange, with regard to finding adequate forms to register daily experiences, creating an endless repertoire and bringing to light the unobserved. This is another painting by van der Stoker created in a public London restaurant, again, as derived from a photograph, this time from a book. This is a site-specific piece that is likely to be missed by diners and functions as an odd choice of decoration. The painting is a tall grey shape on the wall. The form, with its bumpy edges, is outlined with a continuous purple border when both ends meet the floor. 4 lines extend from the right of the figure, 1 straight and 3 curvy. Above them, the text, "I am 42, is legible with a green circle emphasizing the number. There's another inconspicuous detail consisting of 3 tiny ovals that break the silhouette. From this photograph, the disgruntled-looking painting seems to be having a conversation. But with whom? What does this painting signify? Who or what is 42? The artist? The painting? A dish? The restaurant? Perhaps the painted figure is a portrait of a middle-aged waiter. The 3 curvy lines can look like a raised arm supporting a tray, and the 3 tiny ovals could form a bow that secures an apron. If the painting is a cartoon caricature of a waiter, we can be looking at its side profile of the figure, or it could be a back profile where the character is walking away from us as viewers. This piece, in relation to van der Stoker's larger practice, too seems to be a commentary on age, a painting in recognition of people involved in particular situations, and hints at an everyday that is unseen or rarely represented. In Art as Device, Victor Shikowsky states, "The purpose of art is to lead us to a knowledge of a thing through the organ of sight instead of recognition. By estranging objects and complicating form, the device of art makes perception long and laborious. Ordinary things made like a work of art and those we perceive as art objects mediate or coerce a thinking process once we encounter them as extraordinary or strange. Created for and within a specific institutional and architectural framework, van der Stoker's paintings are playful on the surface but address serious themes by using appealing, surprising, and subtly shocking designs. She raises the curiosities of her audiences, sometimes confusing them, but hopefully creates an awareness of social dynamics and nuances in visual representations by presenting them as odd and absurd." Terrible is one of van der Stoker's pieces that is instantly recognized as an art object in the museum. It is painted in a gradient of colors, beginning with a warm amber on the left and progressing to a cool blue on the right. It is an attractive painting, however, its title tells us otherwise. The image on the wall depicts three figures that resemble daggers stuck into a rectangular structure built into the foreground. The three forms also suggest curvaceous women with squiggly facial features and fantastic purple hair. The rectangular wall relief situated at floor level with swinging doors looks like a miniature entrance into a building or a room, maybe the museum. Cut lines border the three figures, including a slightly different looking, perhaps decapitated fourth on the left lying on its side. The word terrible is painted on the right, making us wonder, what is terrible? The artwork, the garish colors, or the personified female characters? What comes to mind for me are noisy gossips who are unable to contain their conversation. If this is what the hot to cool range of colors indicate, the blue figure on the right might be the most terrible. Framed as fine art, van der Stoker's installations are naturally perceived as a special thing to encounter. At the same time, by designing her paintings to suit the spaces and contexts in which she makes them, she renders them in a vernacular language of design, decorative arts, and domestic architecture. Her installations are strange, mythical wallflowers encountered as life-size, everyday objects. They summon contemporary artistic convention and circumventing strategies to abstract, index, and gesture towards daily realities. She presents art in familiar environments that are places of routine activity, and when noticed, makes us think of our encounters with them. Similar to a site-specific work that gets painted over when an exhibition ends, the situations she evokes are transient occurrences and invisible wallflowers in our social landscapes that is every day. Thank you.